Driving now through some quite magnificent desert landscapes and losing the occasional tyre in the process. Namibia's #1 seaside resort, Swakopmund by the sea. And then on to Great Zimbabwe, capital of the 14th century East African Empire. And then on to the rolling plains of the Serengeti. And now off towards Central Africa to the Ruwenzori Mountains and the Virunga volcanoes, home of the gorillas in the mist. We found our way into Rwanda through a remote border post, and in the company of 3 soldiers and 4 guides spent an hour or so scrambling through the bamboo rainforest before finding a family of 11 gorillas, including 3 young ones and 3 male silverbacks. Moving on now to a river trip in Uganda, a steamy, colourful river full of thousands of hippos and birds. Beautiful location for a camp here, and with 1 million tiny frogs to keep us awake at night. Now on the road again, heading into the north of Kenya towards the desert.
We've been following a couple of camels on the road for the last kilometre or so.
In this town on the edge of the desert, we picked up a soldier and a student to take them on to their next stop, an oasis some 60 kilometres further north. Only to break down just out of town and need our soldier for security.
One heart, one voice, one mind. One vision. travelling up through Somalia bandit country in northern Kenya, we crossed the border into Ethiopia.
We wanted to experience something of the very remote and distinctive tribes in this part of the world, and so we headed northwest pretty much into the unknown. And then we came across a gathering of the painted people. These were the Omamusu people, with their bodies painted in white patterns and designs, as is their custom. The painting coming from clay and vegetable pigments. They seemed almost as mystified by our appearance as we were with theirs. And then her customary appearance. Seeing and spending some time with these people was something of a sobering experience. While we had expected the unexpected, we felt we had experienced something way beyond this. But there was much more to come. We were now heading for the Musihana tribe. The going was getting tougher as we headed deeper into this remote part of the world. And then the village of the Musihana people, sharing time especially with the children, and who were very happy to hold our hands and to wander with her.
Interesting if somewhat sobering experience, leaving us wondering whether we should contribute in some way to the well-being of these people, but having no idea how to do so. Heading on now into Sudan. And then into the capital, Khartoum.
Khartoum is famous, amongst other things, for its whirling dervishes, a Muslim ceremonial dance which largely defies description.
The team was now heading northwards for the border into Egypt at Wadi Halfa.
And in temperatures well over 100 degrees Fahrenheit, we used all the tow lines we had and an indiscriminate mix of prayers and bad language to try and extricate ourselves from this interminable expanse of soft sand.
There was no way of establishing whether in fact the border was open. The best advice was to go and find out. Wadi Halfa was a desolate desert township in the middle of nowhere. The border, which was on the western side of the Nile, was closed. The commander of the Sudanese army simply said, "Do your own thing," and drive up the eastern side of the Nile. He said the team would be met at some stage, but no one was sure what that meant.
So we drove out of Wadi Halfa in the general direction they had indicated. Into the Nubian desert now, making good progress, but with the sense somebody was watching us. And sure enough, we were intercepted by a heavily armed patrol of the Egyptian army. They had been tracking us on radar. They told us to turn back.
While initially very threatening, the commander, who spoke good English, was intrigued by our travels, acknowledged that we had valid visas to enter Egypt, and finally agreed to look after us, whatever that meant. In the event, he took us across the Nile and duly delivered us to the Egyptian military intelligence in Aswan. It transpired there had been a deal of rebel insurgency across the border of recent times. We were essentially incarcerated for 2 days and questioned at great length, eventually appearing before a military tribunal and being cleared to go on our way again. An interesting experience, to say the least.
Cairo and the Great Pyramids, quite awesome.
And so after exploring Egypt and Jordan, we concluded our journey into Arabia.